Hi, I'm Tony Gamble from MyMusic.com at Babylon Nightclub in Ottawa, Canada, and this is My Music. I'm here with Dragonette.
Hello.
On their Ottawa stretch of their tour.
The last day of our tour.
The last day of their tour here in Ottawa.
The grand finale.
Started out
here on the
September 1st.
September 1st. That's a long time ago.
That's awesome. So Ottawa is a very special place for you then.
Clearly.
Naturally.
Yeah. Everything begins and ends in Ottawa.
Yes. Now, I wanted to ask you I see so much of a rebirth of the 80s sound in today's top music. And I just wanted to know, like, okay, who in the group is a huge 80s fan? Because you guys have developed the 80s sound.
It might be me. But I think it was just by osmosis, in that it was the music that I listened to growing up, or heard at high school dances. It would be hard for me to name more than like 7 bands from that era, but it's clearly in there.
So it's the sound that you grew up with, and it's just this is just part of your writing process.
Well, I think that also there's the first time that synth music was big was in the 80s. Like that's when it was kind of born, when it peaked, and then it kind of fell into other types of music. And I think that new synth music gets associated with an 80s sound because that's the closest thing to it. But I don't think that we actually ever are going for an 80s sound. I think it's people's minds just go to the 80s because it's like, oh, synths are are sprinkled over there, and so it immediately draws a line there. But it's I don't find that our albums sound particularly 80s, but we get that a lot. I think that must have something to do with it.
So it really is a lot of the synths, but even the styles. When we see your music videos and whatnot, some of your hairstyles in the music videos, they're just such a throwback to the 80s, and I love it as an 80s child myself. It's just fantastic. So you must. Do you go into it? You don't go into it with the idea of an 80s sound.
There's nothing like revivalist about us. It just happens to be that. I guess you look in different places for inspiration. I think Joel actually said, he said one time that, synths are a great way of making your songs sound really full, really easily, like with something that you can just, and now you can just open up on your computer and make it sound full. And I think to some degree that's just as an important a factor in why we use those sounds as anything that we're trying to reference.
But I will say that we definitely, at least I do, I definitely look more in the past than in the present for inspiration. Oh, yeah. And so it probably spans a bunch of eras. Excellent. But yeah.
Now, Martina and Dan, it must be very cool to be able to share a career like this. But to work together every day, what's that like for a relationship?
Sometimes I think me or I or Martina find ourselves spending a little more time with Joel than with our partner, just to
shake it up a bit.
Just to shake it up a little.
No, but I think it is very special that we get to do this together. Whatever strain it puts on the emotional relationship and the relationship side of this relationship, as opposed to the business side of it, whatever strain it puts there, I think the benefits outweigh whatever pressure goes on our home life and our married life.
And at the end of the day, it's you're having fun doing something together that you both love.
Exactly.
That's got to be the best thing in the world.
Yeah, we feel pretty lucky about that. It's pretty good.
Excellent. Now, you've worked with some very cool partners in the past, Martin Solveig, Don Diablo. do you, what was that experience like, and do you have any plans to continue those types of deals in the future?
Yeah. I mean, they just kind of come up. They spring up, and if it's at the right time, and if it's inspiring at the moment, then it progresses. And so I don't know. We have a couple things kind of on deck, and we're gonna need some time not playing shows in order to tackle any collaborations. And generally, the way that it works is that a song shows up, and mostly it's just been sort of like an email relationship, like, oh, I'm gonna put this on that song, and then send it back, and then they send it back to us with having taken it to wherever they want to. And it's very rare that it's like sitting in the studio banging our heads together situation.
And how does it make you feel when you hear, if you're out in a club or something like that, and you hear this new remix of a song that you have on your album, or something that you've collaborated with someone else?
Those are pretty cool, especially when, I mean, I've been in a club listening to something and being like, I swear to God I know this song, and then realizing, oh, that's a that's a remix I didn't even know somebody did. The great thing about those is that if the vocal track we put up online, and any number of people can get a hold of it. It just kind of ends up floating around. So there are remixes of like that Beaumont remix of Pick Up the Phone. It's like somebody just did a remix of Pick Up the Phone like recently that was, this song's like whatever, 3 years old or something like that. And I like that the best, like when someone is doing a remix because they like a song from however long ago, as opposed to like, oh, well, everybody's doing remixes of this song right now, I should do it,
It seems to be the new fan thing to do, is to do a remix of your favorite song.
Well, then in that case, a lot of our fans are better music producers than I am.
Now, on the whole, music on the internet in this day and age, I've noticed that you guys even gave away a song using SoundCloud, and that's the traditionalist musicians would look at that and say, "Ooh, are you sure about that?" How do you guys integrate this whole new thing of sharing on the internet?
We just try and give away the bad songs and then sell the good ones. No, but it's a give and take. People aren't obliged to be music fans, and they're not obliged to buy music clearly anymore, because there's so many avenues to get it, either free or illegally or whatever.
You can dig your feet in and try and
But that
push
never looks
against
that never looks good.
Yeah.
No one likes seeing a band trying to fight their fans. You know what I mean? Like in any capacity. So I think it's just can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
If you're gonna download it for free anyways, you might as well make it seem like we're making it a charity.
Yeah.
Now, as a musician myself, I just got to take a moment to geek out a little bit, and I got to ask, what are some of the tools that you're using in the studio to create the Dragonette sound? Because you hear a lot of really awesome samples.
They are basically
going on.
all synthesizers and samplers, and this was the first record that we didn't go into a studio and record anything like drums or guitar amps or bass amps or anything like that. I think what's actually the most interesting aspect of the technical side of what we're doing now is the live rig that we have that Joel is playing. What do they call?
V-drums,
Yeah.
Roland electronic drums.
Yeah, and that's really contributed a lot to us being able to control our sound and change up the drum sounds a lot during the shows, which I think has pushed us. It's been the most significant change in our sound in a very long time, and has really helped us be able to deliver live what we have set out to do on record.
So from a creative standpoint, do you find that all these new technologies, because technology is advancing so fast, there's always new toys coming out in the field of electronic music? Do
Yeah.
you find yourself wanting to go out and try all the new stuff?
Yeah, Joel and I are like, have you got the new one? Did you get the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think yeah, it's just exciting to have a new palette to work from, and even if you only use it for one track, it's just a new, like if that synth only gets used a few times, it's served its purpose.
But that plugin better look pretty good too, because I don't like looking at plugins that don't look like something really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, they got to have the cool interface.
Yeah, the cool interface. It's all about the interface.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I think I was thinking about this yesterday when we have a song that is on our record. It's called Run Run Run, and to play the piano part, which I choose to play live, I don't have any access to the real sound that I used for the recorded version, and it literally breaks my heart because I just love that sound so much, and I realized it's a piano sound that I have used on every single Dragonette record from up to 6 years ago. Like, it doesn't matter how many new versions of, you know, piano samplers and synths and whatever else come out, I still only like this one piano sound, but I can't use it live. And so there are things that do endure and become like, you know, it's like Paul McCartney's, you know, whatever, his little Hofner bass that he's had for 50 years, you know.
Yeah. Martina, I wanted to ask you about your vocals in Dragonette, because I listened to some of your older stuff when you were doing your solo work, and an absolutely gorgeous voice back then has translated into an absolutely gorgeous voice in this different genre of music. How was it for you to go from doing that style as your solo career and translating it into a style that works with this music?
Well, I think one of the things that happened when we started writing songs together in the form of Dragonette is that the whole way that we wrote was different than how I wrote by myself, where I wrote in front of a computer and thus a recording device, whereas before it would just be all sitting around in memory singing something over and over again with the guitar and writing the whole song and then recording it. And I think that kind of changed the process a bit, and I think that made me be able to play more with different sounds and hear different things come out of my voice and different potential sounds. And I think that's when I started to realize, I started to realize that it didn't have to be pretty all the time, and you could make other sounds that were like emotive and just fun manipulations of the voice that I knew how to use before, that was just singing the notes and singing the melody and bringing emotion in that way. But then all of a sudden, it just seemed, I think the way that we write music as Dragonette just brought out a whole different palette and a bunch of different ways to use.
So you're just as inspired by the technology that these guys are inspired by, except your instrument is your voice. So
I guess so. And sometimes I very rarely get as nerdy as they do with the software. I mean, but
when you do, it's really good though.
Yeah, sometimes there's I find there's a certain song. Oh, The Right Woman. I just thought of using a guitar amp tremolo. I think that was it on that one. Oh, and on Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was on Rocket Ship. Anyways, and then it kind of makes you sing a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're hearing your voice differently, and then you use it differently, and it's playing back to you, and I think I first started doing that. That is something that I only started doing with Dragonette, and so it's kind of it catapulted me into a different. I don't know, just having a whole different range of sounds to use with my voice.
Excellent. One final question. This is the last leg of your tour. So have you been working on some new stuff? You're looking forward to going back in the studio? Or
oh, no, that's not for a while, except for a collaboration or two. We still expect to do a lot of touring for this album. It did just come out, so don't push us right back in the studio yet. We're too happy to be out on the road.